Welcome to the Notorious Scoundrels, a Star Wars Legion podcast bringing you the latest news, general perspective, and competitive discussion.
Hello and welcome back to the Notorious Scoundrels podcast. I'm Kyle. I'm here with Jon and Lucas. What's up, gentlemen?
Hey.
How's it going? I know last week Jay was joking about how I'm your replacement, but I think I'm actually Jay's replacement.
Yeah, Jay got stuck traveling, so Lucas was kind enough to step in, so we got a full 3-man roster here, and we're going to talk today about
some exciting stuff.
We are. So there's two primary topics that we're going to hit today. We're going to talk about Force user duels and what to do in a Force user duel, because a listener brought that up as a good topic idea. But we're also going to talk about some real, actual Shadow Collective cards that we got full previews of.
Rules! Woo!
No way.
Yeah, for those that have been listening to us, you know that we don't generally deal with things where we don't have some kind of full information picture, or speculation or anything like that. So we've been kind of avoiding the drip of half Shadow Collective paint stream previews and stuff, but we actually got an article on a webpage with card images on them for Black Sun Enforcers. So we're going to talk about those also. I guess we should do housekeeping first. We didn't talk about who was going to actually do housekeeping.
Oh, snap.
I can do housekeeping.
Yeah. I don't even know what housekeeping we have.
All right. Yeah. I'll try not to get the URL incorrect here.
I'll get you on those.
A couple things. We sell Legion now. You can go to thefifthtrooper.com and check out our store. We have actual Legion product that you can purchase there. If you do the code SW Legion, you can get 10% off. You can also check out Stormtide there. We're currently in season 2. If you want to go all the way back to season 1, clearly you're welcome to do that, but you can also just start fresh in season 2. That's also on thefifthtrooper.com. If you want to support our Patreon because you like this podcast or you like the many articles on our blog, you can check out patreon.com/thefifthtrooper. I think I got that right this time. And support us on that. Of course, you can also buy from our store if you want to support us that way too. So check us out, thefifthtrooper.com. You can also check out any of our numerous tools. There is a tools submenu on there. We have the ELO rankings. We have the Invader ELO rankings. We have Legion HQ, the list builder. We have Legion stats. If you want to see stats from recent tournaments, we have
Legion Stream now.
Legion Stream, yes, which is a streaming tool.
Awesome.
If you're streaming Legion at a real life event or TTS or whatever, it's like a pre-built streaming tool that you can just input a bunch of stuff in and it gives you a pre-made overlay. Did I miss any tools?
Yeah, the Legion Quick Guide.
Yep, Legion Quick Guide, which is legionquickguide.com, but there's also a link under tools, and that is essentially a hyperlinked navigatable version of the RRG where you can just click on a keyword and it'll instantly pop up.
It just makes it into a web interface instead of a PDF, which as someone who runs stuff for a local shop, having that has saved me a lot of time. Then going on my phone and trying to, control F and search a keyword with my thumbs. Yeah.
That PDF too, every time I find my spot and then I zoom in so I could read it, it jumps 15 pages back or something. And then I have to find it again.
You click a keyword.
So frustrating.
Or you're reading something and then you realize the link isn't under armor, it's under ground vehicle or whatever. And then you have to scan through all these again to find the rule about
yeah. Legion Quick Guide makes all that way easier.
So,
if you ever need to look up a rule, just go to Legion Quick Guide. All right, that's all I got. That was housekeeping.
Yeah, pretty good housekeeping.
Yeah. All right,
you've heard enough of these.
Yeah, right. I do pay attention during that segment. All right, well, let's get to our main topics. How about we hit the Black Sun Enforcers first, because that's hot and spicy. Not that our tactics
super exciting.
Is not also very spicy, but
extremely spicy. I'm very excited for that topic.
Yeah, I gotta
for
pull these up where I can see them.
for people who haven't seen yet, we actually have a section on the Atomic Mass Games website now. If you go to Legion section, it is Star Wars Legion transmissions, and I believe all the articles will be posted there. So far, it's just one. Yeah, so it's all there. This article at least has been written by Mr. LJ. A lot of people in the community know him, and so it's got some good content as well as stuff about these new units. If we want, are you guys ready? I could start rattling off.
Yeah.
So to be clear, on that Atomic Mass website, it's not like under the main menu. It's still, you still have to go to Star Wars Legion documents, and then under there shows transmissions.
Or just find the link somewhere on the Discord or something. You can't go.
Their website there. Still needs a little help.
Well, I mean,
organization.
They say that we're getting a new website sometime soon.
Soon TM.
Soon TM, yeah. So clearly this is not that new website. This is still on Squarespace or whatever their old website is on. But it's an article with actual unit cards in it, which is great.
Yes.
So let's talk about them.
Yeah, so it's a spoiler for a new core unit that will be under the new Mercenary rules. And this is the Black Sun Enforcers. It's a 4-model unit with red saves, has 1 health and 1 courage. It has a whole bunch of keywords for a core unit. Dauntless, independent aim 1, and independent, I believe, is a new keyword. I'm pretty sure you haven't seen it anywhere else yet.
Yep.
But what it does is if you are not given an order, you gain a name. So it's the opposite of what a shore trooper has, right? When you give a shore an order, it gets a name. This is the exact opposite. You don't get an order.
Significantly better. That's a much lower bar to clear to not give something an order.
Yes.
So you're actually actively somewhat hindered, right, for commanding these people, which kind of fits in with the flavor of
it definitely fits the theme. Yeah.
And then they have precise also, so kind of like a stormtrooper in that way. And then they have another new keyword, which is self-preservation. When checking whether you would panic, you cannot use the courage value of units that are not in the same affiliation as you. And then it has 2 weapon profiles: close quarters combat, a red dice in melee, and BH4 double blaster.
Red die in melee on a core unit.
These guys are chunky. These are chunky boys.
These are gangsters, man. They know how to throw down.
Every lightsaber wielder that thinks they're safe in melee against core units are not safe anymore. These dudes
you're charging into Chewie here, basically. Yeah.
Or if it's a 5 or 6 man, then that's against a lightsaber wielder. That's the same as Vader.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. 5, 6 red dice.
No, they're not pierce immune, so they do drop to a lightsaber.
No, but coming back at you.
Vader. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's something to keep an eye on for sure.
I don't know what these guys are packing in their gauntlets. Maybe they got some brass knuckles going. But
yeah, like I said, they're from the School of Hard Knocks, so they'll knock around some Jedi and melee units. But with that does come a pretty steep price tag. They are 48 points for the base unit, which is the most expensive core unit outside of clones for the other factions. Right.
And they're also, their range profiles only range 2.
Yeah.
So, which is, other than self-preservation, I think that's probably their primary limitation, is the range on their range profile.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're we'll get to the cards in a second, but they're quote unquote cheap heavy is range 1. So
those are the same price as Rebel Vets. 48. Rebel Vets are also 48.
Right. I mean, Vets give you access to a 38-point activation too. So it's
I know. I'm just
I know
that out there.
Yeah, it's clearly this appears to be a unit that you would want to take
always
in some quantity.
Well,
you want to talk about the little faction symbols that are up in the corner of this card here?
Yeah. So with self-preservation, it mentions this new concept of affiliation, and with the new mercenary rules, from what we've heard, you can only issue orders within your affiliation. So, for example, these guys cannot receive orders from your Empire Separatist commanders. It has to be from a Black Sun character. I assume we'll get a Black Sun commander. I think that was spoiled on the back of the
Black Sun Vigo.
Yeah, similar to what we saw at the Pikes.
Did I say that right, Vigo?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm not the one to ask.
Seems like an Italian word or something.
Yeah.
If it's Italian, it would be Vigo.
Okay.
So between that and self-preservation, they almost work like a sub-faction within your faction, right? They can't use the courage of your Empire or Separatist commanders, and they can't be issued orders by commanders who are not in their affiliation. So they work alongside your soldiers, but they kind of function separately.
Does it say they can't be issued orders?
No, just that they can't use the courage value, which is like significantly worse than not being able to be issued orders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they are courage 1.
Yeah, that's a real, I mean, you're going to have to either, if you're running these guys in an Empire or Separatist list, but you cannot take them, it appears, in a Republic or Rebel list.
Sad.
Sad tier.
No red save Rebel core.
No red save Rebel core, no exemplar token sharing / other Republic nonsense with these guys. Yeah. Probably a good thing. But yeah, so if you're running them as Empire or Separatist, you got to make sure that you take either and we don't know what he does or how expensive he is or anything, but the Black Sun Commander, or there is a personnel upgrade, which I guess we can jump into, that makes them courage 2. So you can't just like run them, but I mean, I guess you could, but having
one
a
suppression and panicking, or 2 suppression and panicking. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, you get slapped by a shore mortar and you're suddenly panicking. Like that's not good. So you want to plan to make sure that these guys either have courage 2 or have access to a courage 2 commander, which is a little bit of like an extra sort of quote unquote hidden cost on top of them. But anyway, let's talk about their upgrades. You want to hit their upgrades for us, Lucas?
Yeah, so we have the Black Sun Enforcer, which is a personnel upgrade. It's 11 points. It says Black Sun Enforcers only. And this is just the extra model in the unit. Except they have one little change that's unique from others. They have a new keyword, cash, which says during setup, place 1 dodge token on this card. You can spend that token on this card. So they have cash dodge 1.
Cash money.
Yeah, so you just start out with like an extra token you can spend at any time during the game. Seems pretty good, much better than the Stormtrooper, Rebel Trooper, Clone Trooper, or B1. Does come with a little bit of a price premium with that, but not bad. Having a free dodge, can't complain about that.
Nope.
Second one is another personnel upgrade. This one I think is a pretty exciting one. It's the Black Sun Vigo, and it's Black Sun Enforcers only. Add 1 Black Sun Vigo mini to the model. Your courage is increased by 1. You gain independent surge 1, and then this model becomes your unit leader. So since they only have courage 1, but also have dauntless, this Vigo is pretty exciting. So it brings you up that courage value, so you're a little less prone to panicking. And they don't surge on defense or offense. So each turn they're not getting an order, which is very easy to do. You get an aim and a surge. And this guy on it is only 66 points, and they average 5 hits with that aim, not counting the surge. You add in the surge, and it's about 5.5 hits, which is pretty sweet for a 66-point unit with potentially searching. They basically have ISF saves, right? Because you got the 1 surge, or you can use it on offense. But that's pretty crazy, right? That's a Stormtrooper with a T-21, and this unit is somewhat
at range 2.
Yeah. But the key is, right, it's suppression immune in some ways, right? A T-21 unit is going to be suppressed at 1, whereas this guy with Dauntless, right, he can pile up to 3 suppression and still get his full activation in, which I think is as maybe a 1 of in your army. That'd be pretty nice, right? Have basically like an objective playing core unit that's a little bit tankier, a little more close range, but
a lot more close range because it doesn't have access to any weapons that are range 3. Both heavies here are range 1 and 2.
Yeah. To me, it feels kind of like a cheaper B2 that's a little less flexible. Right? They kind of ignore
less beefy B2. Yeah.
That B2 got real good though when it was able to throw 4 dice blast at range 3.
At range 3, yeah.
Yeah, but it's also nearly 40 points more. So you're losing quite a
30,
bit, but 30. Yeah. I guess 66 then you've had.
Well, and you're not kitting this one out yet. How much is a kitted out B2?
93.
93. Oh.
Yeah, with the HA the rocket launcher and the T series, a B2 unit is 93.
It's
a
95
good.
because the HA went up by 2 points. I
Am
got
am
the
I
list builder
remembering?
open right now.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I thought it was. Yeah, you're right. I'm still remembering.
in the 90s is more than
Yeah. Yeah. So 95. But that's a 9 wound unit with armor 1, and they can shoot a 4 dice pool with blast and impact 2 at range 3.
Yeah.
So
I
you
think
build a 94 point Black Sun Enforcer with 6 models.
Which would be the
comparable?
shotgun and the Vigo.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's the Courage 2. He's getting a surge and an aim every turn, and he's got range 2 pierce.
With a deadlier dice pool.
5 black, 5 white, 2 red.
Slightly deadlier. It's it has pierce, which is what makes it deadlier, but it does
Yeah.
not have blast. So
Pierce on a core unit is always juicy. If
Yeah,
you can
this-
make it work, like we've seen that with fleets.
right, but these guys are essentially like beefier, more expensive fleets.
Yes.
It's probably the
Fleets
best way to
that
think of them.
survive.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I did do the dice on these guys earlier. And with the scattergun and Vigo, they do about the same amount as B2s at range 2, even
Okay.
considering blast. And then when you're in the open, you get 2 extra hits and pierce. So they lose that extra range, but they're a little deadly up close. But something that I've thought about a little bit was B2s have fallen out of favor a little bit, right? We saw them everywhere, but with Magna Guards and Dewbacks coming out, and especially I think Wookiees, B2 struggle a lot in melee because they're a low model count unit and they only have black dice. Whereas these Black Sun Enforcers are real tough in melee,
Yeah.
and their defense doesn't go down because B2s really rely on heavy cover and armor 1 to shore this up.
Yep.
But these Black Sun Enforcers can have surging red saves in melee, which these guys could, duel with the Wookiee squadron as long as they don't, they might get hit first, but these guys can put up a fight. The Wookiee will win in the end, but it's much better than like a B2 unit against Wookiees is just going down with a whimper.
Yep.
Whereas at least these guys can put up a fight and, punch back against different melee threats.
And I think the most important thing when you're contrasting them to B2s, at least from the perspective of a separatist player that's trying to make this call, is that's relevant right now is you can't slap these guys with ion tokens.
Mm-hmm.
The
That is true.
B2s have sort of always been weak to melee, right? And B2s have been great, basically right up until the spider ions hit the scene. And then a B2 that gets slapped by a spider or 2 is very sad. B2s do not like ion tokens at all. Even 1 is enough because then they can't recover their gun. They can't move forward and shoot. Like B2s really need both their actions to do anything. And 1 ion token is enough to just totally cripple them. So Black Sun don't get ion tokens.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for like a B2 substitute in a world where spider ions are still running around, maybe look at these guys.
That's gross.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely more vulnerable to pierce.
100%.
Yeah.
And specifically snipers. I mean, B2s are like functionally immune to snipers because of armor 1.
Yeah.
These guys, they're a unit with 1 wound models that has red saves. So
yeah. And briefly to touch on their other heavy, because you mentioned the scattergun, which is pierce 1, 2 reds at range 2.
Yep,
they also had them
28 points, by the way, which is I mean, that's a lot.
It's very expensive.
Now, this is a good unit to put it on, clearly, but that's a good 8 more points than the Fleet Trooper shotgun?
Yeah, it's 20 now. I think it started at 23, said
Yeah.
20 now.
Mhm.
Yep.
And the other option is the Magdet Enforcer, which adds a mini because it's a heavy. It has blast, impact 3, but the weapon profile is range 1 only with 3 blacks. So makes you really deadly at range 1 and hit pretty hard against vehicles, but it's much more limited, right? Because range 1 is quite close, as we've seen with other grenades, such as concussion grenades that give you blast. We really don't see it many places, even on fleet troopers who might try and get that close. So it's a cheap option. It's a cheap body, but it's gonna be tough to use that weapon profile.
Yeah, I don't see why you take that weapon profile rather than a 3-point grenade. Like, yeah, you get 2 more dice than a body, but you could double down with the scattergun and take a grenade.
I mean, it's because it's
A
3
cheap
points
body.
above the body, and you still get blast and impact 3. So
Yeah.
and it's 3 black dice, which is a fair bit better than the black white that you would get with an extra body.
You could
So-
combine the 3 different grenade types if you take a frag grenade. How you have surge crit, and then from the frag grenade you have blast from concussion,
Yeah,
and
how
you
much
have
does that
impact.
cost? Let's see. What happens if you do the Magdat, the Vigo, and frag grenades? It's 85. So that's kind of a lot
Keyword
for
soup
a
incoming.
unit with range of 1. Now it's gonna hurt if you can get that pool on target, but units. I mean, the only.
Do you need the frag grenades? Because the BH4 double blasters do nearly the same amount, right? They don't.
You
get
have no surge. If you add surge crit to 8 dice, 10 dice, then yeah, you want
You
that.
got 1 surge. You got if you bring the Vigo, yeah.
I think you mean 13 dice if you bring the Vigo.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
that adds it to the magnet.
it's a beefy pool.
That's
but you
effective.
can,
That's adding 2 average almost.
Yeah, but I mean, the only unit I can think of right now that has like a viable range 1 weapon, arguably, is snow troopers, right? And even they're sort of,
They're even cheaper and not
you
seen.
still don't really see them very often. And they have, the flamethrower has blast, and the flamethrower, like if you shoot a B1 unit or another 6-man unit, the flamethrower results in a bigger dice pool, or at least as good of a dice pool as this one. If you're also packing frag grenades on those snows, and nobody runs that right now.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. I think it's worth trying. But I've seen people like being like, oh, let's take 6 Black Sun Enforcers with the grenades. I don't
Can
know.
you even
Maybe
do
it'll
that?
work.
Points.
Maybe it'll work. I'm a little bit skeptical. I think like a one of, if you have a delivery method for these guys, like a
They kicked him
some
out
kind
of
of transport.
the faction. Let's see. They could put him in a snail.
You could put him in a
or
snail. You
in
could
a
put him in an
gav.
occupier.
Yeah.
And
they could shoot
Or a
out of
lat.
either of those.
Or a lat, I guess. Yeah, you'd
Yeah.
have to get out the lat, but
Them
I mean,
being
I could
delivered in a
s-
snail or gav, like that sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
I could
kind of like
see
the
it.
whole B2 thing on the snail, but
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see it. I mean, those will both get you to range 1 because those things are
Huge.
move really far.
yeah.
Unless the gav gets its toe caught on a tall crate
Barricade.
or something.
Yeah.
On a barricade on top of a rock.
It stubs
Yeah.
its toe on a barricade.
An R2D2 that fell down.
Yeah. But yeah, right. So maybe not the gav, but the snail I could see. Or a lat, drop them off on top of a roof that's like right next to your opponent's army and just start lobbing grenades down. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I would like spam
No,
this particular configuration.
if you could
I-
safely deliver them, 1 or 2 would be great.
Yeah, I think out of all these upgrades, just running the Black Sun Vigo with the Squadron Naked is probably my favorite, because me take it as a one of, as kind of a semi linebacker who's also suppression resistant, especially in an Empire army, right? And droids are not as worried about suppression, but in Empire, it would be nice to have a Courage 2 unit for 66 points that has Dauntless. So, grab a box and run. They're good at pretty close range too for something like that as well, or be a hostage carrier.
Yeah, you know who I'm thinking about these guys with? It's Palpatine. Because Palpatine
double
lists
attack with them.
have suppression issues. These guys don't.
Do you have to be range 1 for pulling the strings?
It's range 2.
Nice.
Yeah. So regardless of what you equip these guys with, at close range, they got a strong attack pool.
Yeah.
So if you get them on target, you can double tap them with pull the strings, and they kind of check the core box. Well, they don't check the core box. Did we talk about how they don't check the core box? They've basically said on stream that mercenary units do
Oh.
not contribute towards your minimums.
I
Yeah.
did not know that.
So
Yeah.
at most you could take 3 because you're
Yeah.
gonna still need your 3 faction core.
Yep.
Idea is right,
That.
they're kind of like an addition, right?
Yeah.
You're hiring them, but
They're
for
not a
example, Darth
replacement.
Vader is not gonna roll up with a bunch of Black Sun enforcers. Vader
Well,
will roll
not
up with
now.
stormtroopers and some Black Sun enforcers.
Yeah. So it's not like you can just replace your stormtroopers and your snowtroopers and your shore
Mhm.
troopers with these guys. You still got to take at least 3 of your
Yeah.
standard core unit. But
Maybe for Shadow Collective, because their only core units that we've seen so far will be these and the pikes, and so obviously there's going to be something there. So we'll see if uniquely for that faction, if it functions differently.
yeah, they've said that they're essentially some kind of special force or battle force situation. So I'm sure that they'll expand more on how that actually works.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least for purposes of what we know about with Empire and Separatists, you still have to take your 3 normal core at least. But yeah, I can see with Palpatine, like take your 3, some combination of shores and storms, and take one of these, 1 or 2 of these guys.
Yeah.
And just roll up there with
Right. If they're
pull the
shooting at your Black
strings
Sun
and-
enforcers, they're not shooting Palp or your
Right.
RIG.
Yeah, exactly. Could be cute with Vader too, with new ways to motivate them to get him on target. I don't know. I mean, auto
Taking a
wounding
wound on a
model is not
one
great.
model.
Yeah. I mean, you can run a medic alongside him if you're really worried about that.
Just
Run
for
a
an extra
stormtrooper unit
move.
with a medic. Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
that might be
double
worth
move
it.
shooting, that's range 4, and like with this kind of dice pool, you might nearly delete a unit with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can see it.
I think it is a bit much to commit to that, but I could see it as a 1 of in that army, and that's not an edge case that's so far away that you never do it. Or
Right.
in a recover the supplies game, you run them in the middle and new ways to motivate them and triple move out or something, or
Can't you
new
take a
ways and double
medic on
move
like
grad.
anyone?
Yeah, just take it on a storm unit.
No,
Or a
can't you
shore
take it
unit.
on these guys?
Um,
What's it tied to? It's not tied to
I don't
shores or
think
storms.
so. But it's
I feel like no, but I
unit.
don't know if
Yeah,
You
it
have
might
the
say
rules to-
imperial only kind of thing, and that might restrict it.
All right, hang on.
let's see. It says Imperial only.
Yeah, it's faction
There
limited.
you go.
So that
All right.
Yeah.
might lock it out.
Yeah. I think it would,
We'll
right?
see.
Because
Yeah,
with
Because these guys
the-
are
I don't
Black
know.
Sun. They're not Imperials.
Yeah.
But they've got that little symbol, so I don't know.
Well, I think the affiliation
find
is the
out.
logo. Obviously, we don't have the full rules, but like on all the other factions, top corner has their actual faction. And I guess affiliation, I think, is parallel to that. But I guess we don't have the rules yet, so it could be either.
You know what I'm curious
It's
about?
obviously the intention.
What I'm curious about, while we're on the subject of cheese, how does Dauntless interact with Compel?
Oh,
What's the wording on Dauntless? I gotta.
Look it up. I'll
dang
wait.
it. Gosh, dang it. That was a
wait.
rebel only keyword, and
I know.
they're taking it from us. This-
After
this
you
could be
rally,
bad.
if you may gain 1 to perform a free move action. And then what's the exact
You're
wording?
gonna need a
Compel?
keyword. It's gonna work for both. I know.
After a
You're gonna
friendly
get
unit
2
in
free
range 1 to
moves.
2 rallies, it's suppressed. You may gain 1 suppression or perform a free. After you rally, if you are suppressed but not panicked, you may. Yeah, as of there probably will be an errata, but
I assume so.
or a
Yes.
clarification in the rules that you can't do both. But as of now, right, their timing is both after you rally, if you're suppressed.
So you would have to have courage 2. You'd have to have exactly 2 suppression to satisfy being suppressed.
Mm-mm. No, being suppressed is just
No.
any.
Because you don't get a free move action just for having a suppression.
No, you have to have at least. So if they're courage 1, then you need at least 1 suppression. If they're courage 2, then you need at least 2 suppression. But you could
That's
have 3
what
or 4
I'm
or
saying.
5. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. If you're
Yeah, yeah.
you're gonna have to. And let me get to why. So because if you do it with courage 1 suppression is enough, because then you're suppressed. You're at your courage
Right.
value. But then once you take a suppression, then you
Depending on what the
aren't
Black Sun
going to
commander,
be
too.
able to add a 3rd suppression.
Well, you can, because it says if you're suppressed but not panicked, but your
that
panic
third
check,
one,
your panic
are you
check
past the
happens
panic
before
check?
this. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
like if you recover in your turn, you're still suppressed for that turn, so you're
Yeah.
already suppressed and not panicked. So I think even if you're at one suppression, but I mean,
Cheesy.
I
So
think
can you
there's
do
probably going to
both?
be
They're gonna have
I'm
to.
sure that they will fix
the
that.
rules forum or the RRG. Otherwise,
At least if you read it literally,
Yeah.
right now, it looks like they both work. But I'm certain that that will be rectified.
that'd be some real cheese.
Please don't go build compel Black Sun list to get 2 free moves. Well, one of them's not free because it basically replaces your action, but the second one would be free. All right.
Double move shoot for days.
New ways to motivate them all the time.
And then you need Veers to get a recover next time.
You drop Krennic's 3 pip and then you're good to go.
Yep. All right.
Jeez.
Any other thoughts on these guys?
No, that's disgusting.
It's not going to work. Don't worry. It's not going to be a thing.
It's gonna
I'd be
work
real
for like a
surprised
week, and that's gonna be a
Yeah.
week too much.
There's going to be like one tournament in that week span.
Yeah,
And
I
then people
will
are going
not
to be like,
attend.
this is dumb.
Yeah.
Well, that degenerate interaction ignored.
Yeah, let's ignore that. Let's not plan on that being.
I think it seems solid overall. I like them as, especially in Empire, as like a 1 or 2 of. I think in Separatist, they still have a spot because of Ion. But I mean, when you tell me I can take something for 66 points with Dauntless Courage 2 that deals 5 damage average with Surging Red saves, not bad at all.
Yep.
To reiterate, too, with Separatists, they can still keep their full order control and not issue orders to these guys. I mean, like I know a lot of times Separatists rely on leaving one thing in the bag.
These guys will probably dirty up your bag.
You could try a little bit harder, get an order on all of the droids, and then you've got your 3 Black Sun Enforcers in the bag with their free aim, and you have perfect control.
I see it in like a Maul B2 list, but you just drop 1 B2 because that list already doesn't have perfect order control, and it's like
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, it would be similar list construction wise to having a list with B2s in it, and generally in those lists, having played them a lot, they do dirty up your bag, but also like that's kind of okay.
Oh, boo, you have to play like the rest of us,
right?
Yeah, right.
Like us peasant rebel players over here, they get 1 or 2 orders out.
Oh, don't complain. You get free dodges with.
I'll complain.
Good core units. Anyway,
you can't stop me.
Won't go on
win
that
to
tangent.
win, baby.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're if you're going to get into Shadow Collective, you should pick up some of these guys. But if you're a Separatist or Empire player, you probably should also maybe try out a box or 2 of these guys.
Yeah, get 1, see how you like it. If they turn out really good, I could see some lists 1 and 2.
You can get them from the 5thtrooper.com, by the way.
Pre-orders are up.
I think pre-orders
Promo code
are sold
SW
out,
Legion.
but
They are for the core set. Are they for the expansions too?
For just the core set.
Okay, yeah, we still have the expansions.
I waited too long to order.
Yeah, dude. Like,
Out of stock of pre-orders. Yeah.
All right. Well, don't wait on the expansions. If you want some Black Sun Enforcers, go to the 5thtrooper.com.
Yeah, those
promo
are
code
still,
STB Legion.
still out.
All right.
Our topic now.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about the main tactics topic.
Exciting one.
Yeah. Force user tools.
Could get some Duel of the Fates in here.
Yeah, can you add a little cue there for Jay to
Yeah, there you go.
add that in?
I'm sure you can put that in. I was going to try and find my phone and like clumsily play it into my microphone on my phone, but I'm sure that would sound terrible.
I also think it'd get us copyright striked on everything.
That's also a good point. Just say it in your head.
Yeah.
There you go. So what do you should we assume like as a baseline, because there are builds that don't have force push, mostly just Palpatine, but should we assume as a baseline if you're in a force user duel that your opponent has force push?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, yeah. Besides,
think I've
right,
only
even
come
some people bring
against-
it with Palpatine. So even on Palpatine, it's sometimes there. So I think that's
50-50. Yeah.
a safe assumption to open with. We're talking about force push being part of this mix.
Right. So let's assume that your other force user has force push.
So where do we start here?
Well, before we get into like specific matchups, because we could endlessly pontificate about those, let's just talk generally. Because there are a lot of sort of general tips we could do here, I think.
Go last.
Most of the time,
not last. Necessarily last, but go after your opponent's force user.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless you're trying to kill him.
Yeah, we're talking about force user on force user. Okay, so not force users in general, but
correct.
Force user on force user.
That would
when
be
there's
way
a
too
push on
nebulous
the
topic.
other side,
Yep.
then yes, try and go after the other push. And why is that, Lucas?
That is because you may think you're sitting pretty safe if the unit that is already activated in melee, so they can't withdraw, but your opponent has force push on their force user, so they can charge you, slash you, and then force push you into the open, so the rest of their entire army can shoot you.
Yep.
Or if you're safe behind the LOS blocker and like you're just getting ready to pounce, and then your opponent goes with their force user, pulls you out into a terrible spot to start next round and light you up because he finds a way to beat you on priority.
Or they've been taking standbys all turn and they force push you out and just shoot you with their entire army.
Yep. If your opponent's taking a bunch of standbys, that should be like a giant red flag to you.
Yes.
Do not let your force user get in force push range of those standbys.
Yeah.
So that would be 12 inches plus 4 inches away of the nearest standby.
Right. Or just perhaps more to the point, 18 inches or range 3 away from your opposing force user.
Yeah.
Unless they have burst speed, and then it's 22. Which is most of the way to range 4.
Yeah.
It's really far.
It's really far. Yeah.
Someone playing a gun line against a lot of force users in Invader League, that burst speed is really far.
Yeah.
It is.
A
lot of times, like you could, like, I mean, you have to be careful, but a lot of times you can get closer than these range limits because the force users that have jump, they can only jump once. Unless you're Yoda on his 1 pip, you can only jump once, which means that if there's stuff in between you, he's going to have to time that jump or take a reduction in speed or go around a building. So you kind of eyeball that a little bit and take your movement template. You're allowed to do that and kind of like visually space it out.
Yeah. And depending on terrain too, it might be a situation where like it would be a stretch for your opponent to force push your force user and put themselves in the open to do it. So be aware of that too. You know, potentially some spots could be rendered safe if there's like a big open area on the other side of a line of sight blocker that your army has sight on, and your opposing force user would have to put themselves in danger to force push you. Then that's probably a safe spot, even if it's in range. But yeah, I mean, be patient is the kind of the TLDR of all this, right? Try and chip at your opponent's other units a little bit initially while you kind of do the dance.
So be patient. Yeah. And you're looking for a turn when you could do the most damage.
Or do the most relevant objective thing.
Yeah. Objectives are always.
I mean, usually I find that between two experienced players, if they're both playing force users with force push, the thing that kind of like kicks off the force user on force user action is some kind of objective. Because at some point, you know, your armies are done chipping at each other, and you have, whether it's payloads crashing into each other, or you know, you have a last first situation where somebody tries to grab a box or something like that. It's usually the objective that kind of like triggers that force user on force user action in a game
Mhm.
between two experienced players. That's just
Yeah. And in that matchup, when you do both have a force user on the approach, any shots you can get and any wounds is huge because that
Yep.
sets your own force user ahead. So even though sometimes with the sniper, you might be thinking, oh, they're in heavy cover, I'm only going to push one hit through, even if I get lucky. That one wound could be the difference between your force user winning that duel or losing. So keep your force user very
Absolutely.
safely behind line of sight blockers, preserve those wounds, and do everything in your power to get early wounds there. So once that battle does start, your force user has a head start there. Because say you're both at like 2 health, that's roughly a swing oftentimes. And a force user who's still alive with 2 health is still massive. So, right, that 2 health right there can be the difference. And a Darth Vader sitting on 1 health at the end of the game can still be, each turn deleting a unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And part of the relevance of that chip damage is that other than some very lucky Son of Skywalker rolls or like and now you will die, it's extremely difficult, if not in some cases statistically impossible, because some force users only have 5 dice for one force user to kill another in one swing. So that chip damage kind of makes it so that like once you're close to each other, it's generally a bad idea to attack your opponent's force user with your own, unless you can kill them. And
why do you say that?
well,
I agree.
because
I'm just
I mean, there's 2 reasons. The first we touched on already is if, like, clearly if your opponent's force user has already gone and you can get a free swing on them, and they don't have a bunch of dodges, sure, go for it. But like if you're talking about a going first situation, unless you can have a reasonable shot at killing your opponent's force user and then getting somewhere safe, they're going to just eat that. They're going to swing back at you, and then they're going to force push you into the open and then shoot you with everything else, and then go somewhere safe with their force user. So, but thirdly, like lightsaber pools are really inefficient to use against units with pierce immunity.
yes, that's
because they derive so much value from that pierce. So
it's a small-ish dice pool.
they're not big dice pools.
5
usually.
to 7 dice.
Yeah,
like they're good, but there's way better heavy weapons out there.
Yeah.
We've
Pierce
all
is
seen the
big
movies,
thing.
right? The Jedi fight for for ages against each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In game too.
Yeah, that's
In
how it
game
happens
too.
in game 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, they swing at each other for like 30 minutes. That's yeah. Other than the last duel between Maul and Obi-Wan. That one was not very long. Spoiler alert. If you haven't watched Star Wars Rebels, go watch it, because that is in there.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's like one of the secret moments in Star Wars Rebels that it's like, yes, they fight each other again, and it's actually kind of awesome. But it's buried in Star Wars Rebels.
I don't remember it. I have to watch it again.
Google it. Yeah, it's.
I mean, I've seen it,
Yeah,
obviously, but
right. And they also fight in Clone Wars. So
yeah,
at least twice that I can think of.
Yeah, I think they fight twice in Clone Wars. Maul fights a lot of people in Clone Wars.
Yeah, he does.
Ahsoka, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Dooku.
Palpatine.
Yeah, he fights Dooku with his
Palpatine.
brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Palpatine, yeah. He's been around.
Ventress.
He's lost a lot of those fights.
Yeah. Yeah, he has. All right, anyway, we're getting on a tangent here. TLD,
topic. Force
TLDR
user fights.
Yeah, TLDR lightsabers are not great against other force users.
Unless you're Dooku.
Unless you're Dooku.
Hunt those lightsabers if you were Dooku.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge
Dooku can
value.
Because he can still pierce
force users quite easily. And then if you do have chip damage, like a cunning, since Dooku also has cunning, he's uniquely good at first lasting, because he can go in last, chop you, and then go first default, and often 2 attacks from Dooku is a dead force user. So he's one of the unique people that can pretty much 100% to 0 another force user if you're able to last first them.
Yep.
He is noticeably smaller threat range without relentless or charge.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's terrifying.
Yep. Yeah, don't go after Dooku with another Force user. Terrible.
Not if you're within 10 inches.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that's
and
move, force push into contact and swing.
Yeah. And there are a couple cards, command cards specifically, that can kind of make this prospect slightly better. The ones that I can think of are, well, I'm a Jedi in the reverse, right? Where you can just shut down your opponent's attacks.
Yes.
Without activating Luke,
Sit down,
importantly.
Dooku.
Yeah, just start of the turn. But as far as like, besides Makashi Mastery, when you can attack another Force user and you have decent chance of doing some real damage to them, Son of Skywalker, obviously. Because even if they have a dodge, you plow through that on the first one, and then you take a dodgeless swing on the second one, or Duel the Fates. Because then your opponent can spend the dodge. Implacable, potentially, but then you're Fish Invader out of the bag for that second attack.
Yeah.
Which isn't great.
Yeah, I find Implacable is better if you can set up a last, because you can go with them last and then push
Last,
them right out of the bag. Yeah.
Yep.
Especially with burst, if you're using Commander Vader, you can do some pretty funky stuff where you burst, double move, hit something, and then draw it back out the stack and move again at speed 3 or something.
Yeah, he can get really far.
Yeah.
Not thematic at all.
Vader can move fast and then become crippled.
Yeah.
I think that's in the comics somewhere where he goes too hard and then he's all broken down.
I think that's
Anakin would totally do that.
Or Anakin.
Yeah.
Old man Vader.
I mean, old Van Vader is still Anakin. I think the reason that he like throws Palpatine over that railing and saves Luke is not like out of love for his son, but simply because that's the most dramatic thing he could think of to do at the time. That's Anakin, right?
Boo.
Yeah.
Boo this man.
Pretty much dramatic thing I can do. Yeah. Yeah, that's not I didn't come up with that. That was
what else? Talking about? What else about Force users?
Force user duels.
Into the fray. It's great.
Yep.
For that extra defense when you don't have when you're out of command cards to give you dodges, or if you're playing like Son of Skywalker that doesn't give you a dodge.
Yeah. Here's a question. What situations when two Force users are actively dueling would you take a dodge over an aim? Because I think there are some situations where you'll take a dodge over an aim in those duels.
I think almost always, unless they have like 1 or 2 health left. Right?
I pretty much agree, right? Unless you're just trying to kill them.
If you're going first.
You're going first.
Which you should do sometimes.
Yeah, it depends. Like with 7 dice on Luke, I might feel like I could get 3 wounds with an aim. Get a full boat of 6 or 7. So I might try and aim if they're at 3 or less.
Yeah.
And you're healthy. Yeah.
Yeah. And into the fray. Yeah. And if I have like 4+ wounds, into the fray also makes me less worried about taking a dodge action. If you have force reflexes, obviously, then you don't need to do a dodge action because you could do the force reflex dodge. But an aim is so important when you're lightsaber swinging because you get 1 shot at it and dice can whiff.
Yeah, like if you need to kill your target, you take an aim.
Yeah.
And if you're going first, then you probably need to kill your target. So
yeah, well, because if you're going first and you just dodge and fight him, then he could just push you away after.
Yeah.
And then you're exposed. Right. You got 1 dodge, cool, but won't be enough.
I mean, it depends on the situation too. Like, it's like if you're fighting over an objective, maybe you have a box and you just want to like go first and push them away and then run away.
Yeah, I think I only go first if I can kill or I'm getting out of the fight.
Right. Yeah. You should never go first if you don't expect to actually kill your target, or you can safely run away with something, or you need to run away with something like a box. Those are really the only situations where you should be going first.
Yeah. And typically you'd only want to do it late game anyway, if you're gonna try and kill something. Cause like, even if it's early game, if you kill something, the rest of the army can shoot you. Whereas it's typically later where when there's only 5 models on the table each side, taking away one of those 5 at the beginning of the turn is a lot more effective. So even then, I think if you're gonna kill something, it's right timing. You need to know that a great example is, say you're towards the end of the game and your opponent has like a dewback and a few weak core. If you kill that dewback, that sets you really far ahead against a bunch of core in a Force user.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if your opponent doesn't have anything left to shoot you with, if they force push you in the open, then clearly, like, there's less of a downside to going first. There's a couple other exceptions to that. The one I can think of is Palpatine, simply because since he dishes out immobilized tokens with an value die, he can kind of cripple an opposing Force user
I always forget that.
without
It's brutal.
damaging them or killing them. If they don't have burst, then it's just a normal speed 2 Force user. You just attack them twice and you slap 2 immobilized tokens down on them. So if they have burst, you slap 3. And maybe you kill them anyway because you've just attacked them 3 times. But
Sad. I need to play against Palpatine before single limb start.
Yeah. Immobilized tokens are attached to that card. It's one of the side effects that people always forget about, but that is like really important.
Like, you remember the
actually.
suppressive, you remember the pierce at range, but immobilized.
Right, it's uniquely relevant against Force users since most things Palpatine kind of kills outright.
Yeah.
But since Force users are mean pierce,
Wookiees would stop dead in their tracks too.
Yep.
Might only kill 1 or 2 models, but they're not coming for you.
Right. Then you can punch them with IRG.
Yeah.
Some quick jazz
or shoot them
and stop all the Wookiees.
Whatever. Yeah. It's really good against dewbacks because you can't spur if you can't move.
Oof.
So you only need 1 immobilized token on a dewback to freeze it.
Oh, because their speed is 1, huh?
Yep.
I've had that happen before.
And it works against vehicles too, by the way. So because vehicles can take immobilized tokens.
That's so weird.
So if you got a speed 1 vehicle that you want to,
I thought Bane was the only one that could do that, but we've had Palpatine for years.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, we need a practice game before single limbs.
All right. I might not make it to single limbs.
Oh snap!
Even if I win my next game, there's like a world where we have 3 4 and 1s in our group.
Even if you win, I thought if you win, you shut the other guy down to 3-2.
Nope.
Oof.
Because my last opponent is like 2 and 2 or something. So yeah, it's possible that we have 3 4 and 1s in our group. If I win, I will be 4 and 1, and then if Bees beats Captain Cook, then both of them will also be 4 and 1, and we've each beaten each other in the head to head.
So go to points.
Yeah.
And Captain Cook is.
He's 4-0 right now, but his last opponent is Bees.
Captain Cook Bees. Oh.
Yeah. And Bees' only loss is me. So, so far.
Or
so you need Captain Cook.
You need Captain Cook to win.
Yeah. You need or him you're to right. If Captain Cook beats Bees, then I'm fine.
And then you need to win your game.
Right, and I need to win my game, obviously. Yeah, this is all hinges on me winning my game. If I lose my game, I'm just screwed no matter what happens.
A lot of pressure on this last game.
Yeah.
Do we want to, with that, do we want to move over to
I think that's
Invader League, or did we have any final thoughts?
I think go last. This is the main thing. Like,
well, not necessarily last, but just be patient.
We had, we mentioned the exceptions.
Right. Well, and go after your opponent's Force user.
Yeah.
And don't be, unless they have something like an Now You'll Die or Son of Skywalker, don't be worried that they're going to like attack you with the lightsaber and kill you in one shot, because that's pretty uncommon.
Yeah. And if you are going to engage the other Jedi, shoot to kill, because you need to be in a position where you could hopefully one-shot them. So it's you don't want to be swatting laser swords, especially like with someone with Luke, because Son of Skywalker can easily turn that duel against you.
Yep, for sure. All right, let's talk about Invader League.
All right. So we started talking about your group.
So I'm 3 and 1. We already talked about my game versus Captain Cook. Get Red save PTSD. I mean, he shouldn't have, Palpatine should never have been in a position where he was in a spot to be shot, and Captain Cook did all the things he needed to do to make that happen. So anyway, yeah, so I dropped the game. If I win my next game, then I will be 4-1. But as we discussed in the last 5 minutes, there's a situation where there's 3 4-1s in our group, and I currently only have 1 victory point.
A max of 4, which will
the max I could get 4,
which will not already beat either of the other 2 players' victory points.
Correct. Yeah, I had one. People are like, "Well, you should play Intercept." I had a game on Intercept. That was my game against B's, and I tied that 5-5. So
that's me. I keep telling them to play Intercept.
I know. Well, in all these victory point ties, my opponent has had. I mean, I think B's had 4 models left.
Oh,
I've had
finish it.
I know.
Finish him.
And then I just couldn't and I've had 2 VAPS games too with a similar situation. But I couldn't table him and I couldn't get to his VAPS. So
dang.
It is what it is. But yeah, so we'll see. I'm happy that regardless of whether I get into Elans or not.
You've got Palpatine. Well, I guess we're not really worried about I guess, yeah, because there's the 2 linchpins for you to make it. So your Palpatine list against Captain Bill's Vader, Boba Fett.
Yeah, we'll see.
Commander
Vader is always a wild card. Vader can just. Yeah. I mean, I think more than anyone except maybe Yoda, Vader can just kind of be like, you know what? I don't feel like losing this game. I'm gonna just kill everything by myself.
Yep.
And yeah, so we'll
Luke
see.
can do that too. Maybe not as regularly.
Luke, I would say Luke is 3rd behind Yoda and Vader in that department.
Behind Vader, sad. Because
Luke is. Don't get me wrong. Luke is mobile and he is durable and he's fast.
It's too late. You've already said it. You've already hurt his feelings.
I'm sorry, Luke. I still love you. But Vader, I mean, the primary difference really is choke, like you said, and also the command cards.
And surge.
Right.
Makes Vader more survivable.
Yeah, although Luke has so much dodge access that it probably evens out there. But Vader's command cards just kind of uniquely make it so that once he's in the middle of the opposing army, he just starts being a real problem.
He gets way more aggressive, that's for sure. Luke doesn't really have he has the one Son of Skywalker turn that's super aggro. But yeah, you're right. He doesn't have a lot of aggro after that.
Right. Vader's got Implacable. He's got Vader's Might. He has Fear and Deadman. He has Master Evil. So
yeah,
all of which are devastatingly effective when he's in the middle of his opponent's army.
Yup.
Luke's command cards are good. They're great, really, but they're just much more subtle in ways that improve Luke's defense or something like that, other than Son of Skywalker. And sometimes serve, but yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm definitely not taking anything for granted. It's on Malachor, which has a bunch of hills that Vader will be able to hide behind. So we'll see. And Boba is always dangerous against red saves too. So
yeah.
We'll see what happens. I'm just worried about winning that game, and then I'm going to see. I don't have any control over anything else. So good luck, Captain Cook. I'm rooting for you.
Need to get that game streamed. I don't know if it is gonna be, if it's on the streaming schedule or not.
Which one?
The Captain Cook versus
Bees. Yeah, I don't think they've scheduled it yet. I think they had it on the schedule and there was a conflict or something. So, but yeah, I will attentively watch that one. I mean, even if I lose, I'll still attentively watch that one because it's my group mates,
right?
And I'll be rooting for them. But yeah, anyway, that's
specifically one of them.
Yeah. I'm just excited that I got to play Palpatine again. It's made me want to bring him to Atlantic City. So
oh snap.
I mean, we'll see. I've got some options. There were other things that I wanted to try for Adepticon that I didn't end up trying. I'm also considering just giving Anakin another shake, just because I feel like I learned a lot from my Adepticon experience. And
Okay.
And it's also fully painted. Whereas
there it is.
Even
Here it comes
for,
out.
I mean, for Palpatine, I'd have to do a lot of work. There's a Rebel list I want to try where I have them right here in front of me. It's your favorite Rebel Trooper model there, John.
Is it? Who is it?
It's a DLT 20.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Next to your other favorite Rebel Trooper model, the Captain.
Yeah, they're pretty nice.
I don't think I would do Jedi Luke just for sake of variety, because I have to be a unique snowflake. But I have something else. I'd have something else with Rebel Troopers that I think would be really good / fun. So
I may have to go back to my Han, Luke, Chewie stuff. I was so close to with that, and I feel like I could have just done better and carried that list further.
That's how I feel with Anakin. So that I might still end up playing that. We'll see.
Yeah. So I saw while we're talking about ACO, I saw those dates on free. So I might be trying to scrounge together some funds, maybe convince the wife that I could do this as a graduation gift to myself. I'm graduating like 2 weeks before that.
Ooh.
So it might be my last hurrah here in the States. Gonna make a splash before I get destroyed by a bunch of good German players.
Just tell her you're working. Be like, honey, it's for the network.
Yeah.
I'm traveling for work. It's work. All work, 100%. Nose to grindstone.
No fun.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going now too, it's gonna be a party. I'm gonna have to get the funds together to go.
I think the cooks might be going too. Both father and son.
We'll have to start a GoFundMe, get us all out there.
I haven't got to play Luke Cook since Adepticon 2019.
And I want a rematch. I need my ELO points back.
Give him back, punk.
Yeah, give him back. You young whippersnapper. Right. Anyway, that was a tangent from Invader League. I'm sure we'll have lots of time to talk about ACO. It's about 6 weeks out at the moment.
Yeah.
So, all right, how are you guys doing, Invader? Hopefully better than me.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, John? Because I think you got the best news out of everyone.
I mean, I can't remember if we talked about it on the last one. I got my 5 games knocked out pretty quick. And I did go 5-0, so I am locked in. Rebel DLT. I've got 5 of those, the dodge spam, and then Op Luke and 2 snipers and 2 officers. I mean, the core absolutely shreds white saves, and then red saves, Luke is in your face. I've gone against a couple of force users, and I mean, like, you follow the stuff that we talked about earlier and tends to work out. I haven't played against Vader or Palp with this. Those are tougher matchups for Luke, but I'm pretty confident against them too. So
I could see potentially the triple high velocity snipers that Palp brings being a problem.
Yeah.
Depending on the map.
Yeah. Also, so here's the thing too. Depending on the map, if a high velocity sniper shoots at me, I mean, yeah, you could go to the edge of range 5 and then I can't move back and shoot you. But if you're not exactly at that edge of range 5, I'll probably remove that model right back.
After you've exhausted barrier and protector.
Okay. If he's so they're all staying close. You're not flanking.
Oh yeah, no, I've played this list now quite a bit. So yeah.
I also have my snipers.
Palp is really good at the range fight. I have a local guy here who really.
He gets to stop 2 hits once, and then once he recovers it. Yeah.
And it's better.
The IRG seems like it does more than Palp.
You got to play against it before you knock it.
All right.
Or just ask Jay about it.
Let's play.
Well, he shoots you with a sniper, barriers it, and then activates Palp, taps that sniper again, has a barrier up for that sniper again. That's some pretty good shenanigans.
On top of projector.
Yeah, that is a 4th sniper shot with Palp. That's true. That's true.
And it's not like, you also have shores, and
it's fine. I'll just hide.
So.
I'll just hide for it. It's problem solved.
not an experience you're used to having as a DLT gun line, probably. Yeah. No, I mean, I think it could be fine. Right, there's still a lot of firepower in that DLT gun line, but it probably a slightly tougher matchup than what you've been facing potentially.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on the 5-0.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Just
That's
waiting
the
patiently
solution
now,
to not having to worry about tie breaks. Just don't lose a game.
I am starting to get into streaming now. It's a lot of fun. I've streamed I think 3 Invader League games now, hoping to do more, and especially when Single Elim starts, it'll be fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think I'll hopefully be. I've been doing a lot of self casts, but I graduate around the time that all the finals will be happening, and I'll have a lot. Once that's done, like I'm very busy right now because I'm trying to write my thesis. But once that's over, I'm gonna be a lot more free. So hopefully get some Single Elims games in.
Unless you're in the finals.
Yeah, unless I'm in the finals. So I guess that's a good transition to my group. So last time we talked, I was 3-0, and I've gotten one more game in against Cywern, and now I'm 4-0. And my game against Cywern, he was playing Flyboys with Biston, and we ended up going. He was blue. We tied. He's the only person that I had an equal bid with a 3-point bid. Everyone else has both of us beat. He won the roll off and went with blue. Or actually, I think I won the roll off and picked red because we both had almost exactly the same battle deck. And I wanted to have the last veto to get the objective I wanted and the last deployment for tax strike so that I could have more time to try and, with tax strike, you're often positioning for something deadly on turn 1. And so I've been almost preferring red because it just gives me that one more activation
Little delay
on deployment. Yeah. To kind of, figure out what my opponent is trying to do. But with that game, essentially it was Luke versus Tax Strike, and Tax Strike just barely edged out against Luke and Han. My guys were pretty wounded after that, but once Luke and Han were down, despite having, crippled ISF and Iden, my dewbacks just tore through all the white saves after that. And so it ended up being a pretty solid win. That one was another self-cast. But he's a good opponent. But my group, I'm currently 4-0, but one of my opponents, R37N008 or Ret Noob, he has gone 4-1 with 9 tiebreaker points. And my next opponent is Rowdy Foyne, and he's 3-1. And so basically I have to beat Rowdy to move on because Ret Noob has great tiebreakers, and Rowdy and I are only 1 point away on tiebreakers. So basically if he beats me, that would bump him up. Right, there are ways I could potentially lose and still move on, but it's more I just need to win this game, get the clean 5-0 so it doesn't come down to tiebreakers.
Yeah, so you either need to, because if he beats you, then you'll have the 4-4-1 scenario.
Yep,
the dreaded 4-4-1.
So you will have
common
to.
That actually is.
It's a lot. There's a lot.
Does it happen a lot?
Yeah. And we have a lot of groups that aren't resolved yet too.
Yeah.
But if you tie on VPs even and he wins, you continue.
Yeah.
Because you have 7 to his 6 VPs. So at worst, sabotage moisture vaporators, you could give that to him. Just
careful, man. Our game, this cast might come out before our game. The cast is on, or the game is on Thursday, so
maybe
we'll
Jay
see if he's that quick on the draw. I'll be like, hey Jay, can you post this after 5 p.m. PST on Thursday once our game is started?
There you go.
Yeah, because I was gonna talk a little bit about. So he's playing a Vader gun line. It's Darth Vader, commander with burst of speed, saber throw, vigilance, and force push. And then he has Imperial officer with binocs, 5 stormtroopers, a T-21 specialists, and recon intel, and then triple snipers. And so that's going to be a tough army to fight with tax strike. And I've kind of said a lot of these games, it really comes down to how that lightsaber fight goes out between the engagement and the lightsaber. So it's a tough one. And then obviously I'm hopeful that I can win this game, but Rowdy. We have had some really tough people in our group, like Cybern and Acer, and he had pretty solid wins against them. And he's kind of an unknown factor because he hasn't been in Invader or other events. So it's one of those things that he doesn't have much of a history in Legion, but he's beat a lot of really good players and had gave Retnoob a run for his money. It was a close game for them. So
Were any
we'll
of
see
his
how
games streamed that you could go back and watch?
I don't think so. I wasn't able to find any. I can double check, but I
Do some
don't think
studying.
so. I could do some recon intel, get ready for the game. But yeah, so basically I kind of got to win this one. The nice part is it is all in my hands, right? It's in this game. But I guess being 4-0 with 7 points, I thought I was in a good spot. And each game, so I went 3-0 at the beginning, felt like I was in a good spot. And then Rhett Noob won out all the rest of his games with crazy tiebreakers. So I was like, oh, I probably still need to do well. And then Rowdy's coming through, beating everybody also. So it was like, man, I'm sitting here at 4-0 and I'm still having to sweat.
Yeah.
I feel like I've
For
been through
real.
so much already and it's still not over.
It's getting nutty.
Yeah, so it's been a good group though. There's been some pretty rough West groups. Like Group 8 is another gnarly group. That's one with Bobby, Blood Ocean, Lord of Paper Towel,
Yeah.
Ben, LJK, Talk Polite, Karma 5, and the Calico Kid. That's another group that when I saw, I was like, man.
I think I've streamed 2 of their games, and they've got a lot of Mandalorians in there. But
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's working.
Yeah.
It ain't broke, don't fix, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, if I'm able to make it out, we should definitely have some practice games because you and I might see each other in the West Coast single elims if I get out.
This is true. Is Timbo also West?
Timbo's also West Coast, and I think
Oh,
he's
man.
3-0. Oh no, he's 4-1 with 6 points. And the next one, there's only one other 3-1 in his group, so he's moving on. Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
Timbo's in.
Yeah.
Who else? Is there anyone else we know here on the West Coast?
I mean, I know most of Group 8.
Yeah.
Oh. So we'll
Dang,
see.
Group 3 is another brutal one. They have it's JJ's Juggernaut at 4-1. Snyder second place at no, he won last Invader League, didn't he?
He
Or did
did.
second.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, Snyder won. Previous Invader champion sitting at 3-2 in this group.
I don't think
with 6
Snyder
points.
continued
Yeah.
either. He
No,
was
it's-
beat out by Darce, I think.
Yeah, the joke is that it's become a winner's curse, at least for the
Yeah.
last 2. Because Inosatam won season. What season are we on?
8 right
8?
now.
8.
Yeah, Inosatam won season 6. And he got bounced before elims last season, and then Snyder won last season, and he is not making it to elims this season. So
Yeah,
winner's curse.
I don't know. These West Coast groups are brutal.
Yeah.
Like, it's tough when there's a group where Snyder drops 2 games and JJ also drops a game. Like everyone here is good players and they all have dropped games. Group 8 has a lot of big names.
I think in general, the sort of baseline level of player skill in Invader League has increased.
Oh, definitely.
Like there's lots of unknowns that are coming out and doing really well. There's people that have sort of done poorly in past seasons that are looking significantly better. So yeah, I think the floor has kind of been raised. I mean,
Definitely.
every season really, but definitely this season I'm noticing that this overall skill level, the tide has kind of risen. So
Rising tides.
yep. It's not as tall and skinny as it used to be. It's much flatter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
definitely.
good thing.
Oh, it's a great thing.
Yeah. Don't get too comfy up there on that Elo perch.
I'm nervous now. If I
Oh, for your Invader.
You're gonna lose
Elo.
it on Invader and you lost it in
yeah,
real
I
life, right?
already got bounced from the number 1 spot in North America Elo. The Invader one, I think could be a
You
problem.
had a pretty good handle on the Invader one.
Yeah,
it was-
Snyder's also
yeah.
going to get bounced because he dropped
That's
some
true.
games and he's number 2.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
Florf is a solid 100 points
110.
behind you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, still not getting those elims games in could be
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm catching up only 200 points away from you if I can win these.
I didn't think I was that far. I skipped out like the last 2 seasons though. So I don't know.
Yeah. Do you know we were in a season together, John?
No, I don't know.
When you were
What was
talking
your name
about the
again?
whole technophobia.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, for those of you who didn't know, the first cast that John and I were on, he said, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you." And he was like, "You look familiar. Have we met before?" I was like, "Yes, at SoCal, you drove me to like lunch and dinner, and we ate together."
Wow.
And we were in Invader League together, and he totally forgot me. So, Mr. Bushfack's just too big for us low plebes.
I'm down there on 65th on that elo. So I've got a long climb to the top.
Hey, it's you gotta start somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of these, I mean, Snyder's, I mean, clearly this could change after the season, but Snyder's only got 23 games and he made it to number 2 with just 23 games. So
Yeah,
Well,
but
he's like dropped 2 games
helps.
before the season.
It helps if your first 10 games are like amazing.
well, that's true. Yeah.
Because you get double points on those first 10.
Oh, okay. That's fair. And Florf is similar. Florf has 28 games and he's third.
Yeah.
So
I've got
But he-
18 recorded games.
Yeah.
Plus these 5 more wins. That'll help. We'll see.
Yeah.
See how it shakes
Okay.
out.
You never know, man.
Yeah. I might try and sneak in a Elo update in between round robin and single
There you go.
Give yourself that
just to
bump.
see it.
Just to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally unbiased.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Definitely for scientific reasons.
Yeah. Games played in what group are you in?
I'm in group 4.
West 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. Games played in West 4 count double for no particular reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was just an especially competitive group, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the wild card. Just
We
randomly
took a
signed.
poll
Yeah.
and everyone said that group 4 in the West should probably take double points.
Yeah. Took a 1-person poll.
Yeah.
I think the whole West Coast
I mean, the
should.
quantity doesn't matter. It's
Right.
fine.
I think the whole West Coast should have double points. I mean, like we said, top
No,
players
we
are
don't
dropping
want to get too
games.
crazy. It'll imbalance the equilibrium of the entire Elo population.
Just West 4.
Yeah, just West 4.
All right. Anyway, we're going off the rails here. You guys got any final thoughts?
No, nothing here.
Invader's fun. Everybody should play Invader League if you got the time.
It is. I need to try and get my locals to do it.
It's a great way to. I know people like TTS is not nearly as fun
Yeah.
as real life play, but it's still fun. It's still Legion-ish. And like it's a great way to improve your actual real table Legion ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both because it's a good way to like sort of zero in on the fundamentals because of all the tools and stuff that are in there. Like just anecdotally, it makes you better at measuring, it makes you better at cohesion, it makes you better at positioning.
And the thought process your brain goes through on turn 0, especially turn 0. Like it's important.
Yeah.
It's helpful.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting point because in Invader at least the maps are known in advance. So you can freely scout them and you know which opponent you're playing on which map.
Yeah, you
so
can
like
spend an hour looking at it.
Right. And just the activity of like spending actual dedicated time with known variables on a turn 0 problem makes you better at turn 0. So
then you might see similar stuff when you're on a real table and you've already gone through the whole thought process of what you're looking for.
Yep. But also just I find that Invader is a great way to expose yourself to players and lists and strategies and stuff that
Gets you out of your local bubble.
Yeah. That's really important to get out of your local bubble. So
I
I
think
mean,
I've
it
just
depends on what your goal is, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Like, but
I think I've got like a small percentage of locals that are like TTS naysayers and it influences the rest. So I need to cut that down.
Knock it off.
Yeah. Stop.
I mean, if you don't like it, don't do it, but don't like make other people not do it.
That's a concept all throughout society though, that people like to complain about things and that rubs off unintentionally.
Right.
I see it
If
a
you don't
lot
like
with
it,
math as well.
don't do it. That's fine. Whatever. Do you? You do you. Let other
Maybe
people
we'll
do
make
them.
a TTS hipster article to make fun of all those people.
There you go. Don't make fun of them. Just point out to them why TTS is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Not as
Just
good
kidding.
as the real thing, but it's like 70% is good. 60.
I still enjoy it. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't
its own
enjoy it as
thing.
much for tournaments. Like
Yeah.
I did the knowledge and defense, which was fake worlds when COVID was bad.
I would never do like multiple TTS
PTSD
games in
from
one
that.
day.
It was brutal. Like playing LVO and SoCal Open, I was so much less tired after that than the other one too. I think it was 4 games a day, if I remember. And it was just all on TTS, and my brain was cooked. Although I did well in that, so I guess I was good at managing that brain being cooked, but it was not enjoyable.
I
judged
didn't
for that.
play. I think
my
I judged.
My brain was cooked. Yeah.
Which meant like we had to actively watch a game or two or something.
No, because that was the first
did
tournament
we
where they
do?
used MOV. And the tournament regulations say that the judge has to witness concessions when you're using MOV.
Yeah.
So I remember at least the primary source of my exhaustion for that tournament was like having to bounce back and forth between all these games to basically just sign off on a concession.
Yeah.
That was like most of my judging time, I think, during that tournament.
It's kind of a dumb stipulation, but just
but
tell
also
them
like
be
concessions
adults.
are, yeah, I know, but yeah, I don't know. We're not in charge of that.
Score
so,
your game properly.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway,
Anywho.
big tangent. How about we end this before we get even further off the rails?
let's do it.
All right. We're the Notorious Scoundrels. I'm Kyle.
And I'm John Bushfax Bushman.
And I'm Lucas Technophobia Ustick.
Look at you guys with the full spiel.
We got Twitch channels now. We got to plug that. By the way, check
right.
out Twitch TV /Bushfax or Technophobia.
Oh, you said Bushfax.
There you go. All right. Stay fresh, cheese bags.
Bedding.